Hello everyone and welcome to Hats Off. I'm your host, an ex-Red Beret, D'Angelo Edwards. Growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, I consumed a lot of cartoons. And I mean a lot. I've got the fetishes to prove it. And although Nickelodeon and Disney Channel were great, there was no channel I loved more than Cartoon Network. It just felt like they couldn't miss. Dexter's Lab, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Powerpuff Girls, the list goes on and on. Countless cartoons that would go on to have massive fan bases and be represented in some way or form for years to come. But what about the other shows that slipped through the cracks? The Sheeps in the Big Cities, the Robot Jones, and the Mike, Lou, and Oggs. Well, one guy has that covered. But today, I want to give some love to what I feel like is the most unfairly forgotten show of all of the original cartoons. One that I feel everyone knows, but no one remembers. The unlikely story of a man, a boy, and a robot traveling through time, enforcing the past to protect the future. That's right, today I'm taking my hat off to Time Squad. Time Squad premiered on Cartoon Network on June 8th, 2001, on Cartoon Summer, which was like the summer equivalent of Cartoon Fridays. I remember it, it was cool. They had some neat little summer themed bumpers, back when they how do I say this? Cared. The new shows are fine, but come on man, just put some love in these. I never thought I'd want the nudes back. But this isn't about that, this is about Time Squad. Created by Dave Wasson, and if you don't know who that is, he's kind of an animation veteran. Besides creating Time Squad, he's directed The Buzz on Maggie, Making Fiends, written for Star Versus, and the Mickey Mouse shorts. And now he's an executive producer for that new Cuphead show. I mean, he also worked on Cool World and Space Jam, but...
Nobody's perfect, right?
Did you just have a stroke, Pam? It's nobody's perfect. Nice stroke, Pam.
Point is, the dude has done work. And when it comes to Time Squad, I think it really shows. Going back into it, I didn't think I would like it as much as I did, because Cartoon Network does a really good job hiding it. No iTunes releases, it's not on the app, it's not streaming, only one DVD released in the UK. Those guys are not thinking about Time Squad. They're thinking about stuff like crumpets, zombie royalty, and Brexit. I still don't know what that is. But the point is, you can't get this stuff that easily. And what you can get isn't in the quality it deserves. It's kinda like the opposite of Nickelodeon. There's a bunch of Nicktoons that we probably didn't need to keep around, but still get shoved down our throats. Like, does Cat Dog really need to stand alongside stuff like Rugrats and Rocco? Nickelodeon won't let us forget kinda meh shows, but Cartoon Network makes us forget things that shouldn't be forgotten. But enough about that, let's get into Time Squad.
コンタクトレンズは
Time Squad is the story of a group of police that travel through time, stopping every and any problem that happens through it. If Eli Whitney is building flesh-eating robots or Albert Einstein is trying to sell you an affordable, if not eco-friendly car, the Time Squad is ready to fix things up. But in Time Squad, we focus on one particular team, Buck Tudrussell, a muscle-bound idiot of an officer, and the Larry 3000, a robot who would rather be baking than traveling through time. The two go through the time stream fighting the good fight, but there's only one problem. They both suck at history. Even Larry, you would think that the robot would have the smarts, but no, he was programmed to cook, clean, and serve as royalty. This is where the third character comes in. Otto is an orphan stuck in the Alcatraz of orphanages, where he's forced to scrub toilets, shovel coal, and fix cars. Hashtag just orphan things. This is the punishment he receives for being addicted to reading books, especially history books. You see where this is going? Yeah, you do. Tud Russell and Larry end up zapping into Otto's room, mistaking him for Eli Whitney, the creator of the Cotton Gin. Allegedly. But you didn't hear that from me. At first, they're just gonna leave him there and go, but he convinces them to take him along, seeing as he's the only one out of them that actually knows anything about history. They go back in time, stop Eli from creating flesh-eating robots, which really just raises a lot of questions. But this show was made to have fun and teach you a bit of history.
See, well, that's just the thing. See, this show was designed to teach us about ancient history, or should I say, his story.
But they end up saving the day, and they even end up adopting Otto. So that's the basic setup of the show, and they do a lot with it. Traveling all over not just the world, but through time leads to a lot of fun backdrops to explore, from the Old West to ancient China. And meeting all the historical figures and seeing how screwed up they got is fun. Like, how does Beethoven become a pro wrestler? I don't know, but Time Squad will set you straight on the matter. It was cool because they didn't always go for the obvious route. Some things were expected, like what if Edgar Allan Poe wrote nice stories instead of scary ones? But some of them were kinda out of left field, like what if George Washington Carver had an evil brother that made evil things out of peanuts? Like, how do you come up with that? I'm pretty sure anyone with a nut allergy already thought that they were plenty evil. But we see these characters tackle it all, case by case and era by era. And speaking of these characters, let's talk a bit about them. Starting with our favorite idiot,
Officer Buck Tud Russell, Time Squad.
Who is voiced by Robert Paulson, in what has got to be his least Robert Paulson voice, right?
Officer Buck Tud Russell, Time Squad. I come from the future where there's no more war, no pollution, and bacon is good for your heart. Oh yeah, no, we figured out time travel. Nothing to it.
Like, I had no idea it was him. There's usually a little Yakko or Carl in his voices, but this one is very distinct. Tud Russell is this dumb jock who is all action and no brains. He's not that good at his job, but with his brute strength and his miraculous ability to stay alive no matter what happens to him, he blows up a lot. He manages to do okay. He has a passion for weightlifting, meat, and generally just being a slob. He usually resorts to violence first, and will use his badge as an excuse to beat up whoever he wants. Guess even in the future, some things never change. And to counteract him, we have the Larry 3000, voiced by Mark Hamill, a robot programmed to be a diplomat.
I'm the Larry 3000, programmed in etiquette, culture, and all known languages for the use of diplomatic negotiations.
But after all the nations in the world formed into one big country, he got stuck helping Buck out. While Tud Russell is loud and obnoxious, Larry is neurotic and sarcastic to a fault. He enjoys the finer things in life: cooking, music, and fashion. The two of them play off of each other great, and they act more like a married couple than partners, with Larry even showing signs of jealousy. Dave Wasson even said that he wanted to see how far he could push them being a couple without getting censored, and he got pretty far.
But he's my stupid, repugnant, arrogant, smelly, ignorant, selfish, insulting man-child. Oh, you'll understand when you're older.
But what I really liked about them, that both of them kinda sucked at their jobs. And for kinda the same reasons. Buck would usually get too gung-ho and try and fix everything by force, and Larry would try and be too gentle, or he would get carried away by people praising him too much. Both of them even risk getting arrested for treason just to take a vacation on the job. They're just two halves of a whole idiot. Which, again, you would think Larry being a robot would automatically make him the smart one. But half the time, he's just as guilty as Tud Russell. Nope, Sadly, the most competent member of the group is Otto, voiced by Pamela Adlon. And now that I've listed all three of them, you gotta admit, this is a crazy cast. Luke Skywalker, Coconut Fred, and Bobby Hill, all in the same group. That is nasty, especially for Otto, because you can hear the Bobby in him. I'm half expecting him to break out the "I don't know you." Anyway, Otto serves as the voice of reason and de facto history whiz of the group. He's the one who usually gets the trio back on track, because he's the only one who actually knows anything about the job. Though usually the only accurate history facts you get from him are the little blurbs he says before the start of each mission. He loves video games, toys, and playing pretend, like any kid. But unlike any kid, mostly me, he actually loves history. Growing up, history was always my least favorite subject. I just wasn't interested in memorizing facts about a bunch of racist dead guys. Not my style. I'm not gonna land a job by knowing that Columbus sailed the ocean blue in the year 2, but Otto can't get enough of this stuff, and it's usually his knowledge that keeps Time Squad on their feet. The two of them treat Otto like a member of the family, with Tud Russell taking on sort of a big brother role, and Larry doting on him like he's his mother. It's really sweet and can lead to some genuinely touching moments. But it's even better when Otto gets fed up with them and how ignorant his team can be, sometimes taking action into his own tiny hands. But it's not just the main trio you have to look forward to in this show. There are plenty of others to enjoy, and we'll get to them right after this break.
移籍からデビュー回転する植え付け方式で能率も精度も驚異的にアップ時代が回る早苗が回る移籍のロータリー田植え機
Alright guys, so now that you're familiar with the main crew, let's go over some of the others. Showing up from time to time, we have Sheila Sternwell, a fellow member of Time Squad and the former wife of Buck Tud Russell. Also, between her and Major Dr. Ghastly, I'm starting to realize I have a thing for women in goggles. Like, the goggles, they do something. She's a no-nonsense workaholic who always gets the job done right. And it's really fun to see her easily do jobs that Tud Russell can't even look at without failing. She's joined by her robot companion, XJ5, no relation, who shares a rivalry with Larry, mostly because Larry's not as high-tech, which leads to some pretty funny innuendos.
Nice, isn't it?
Ha! It's not the size of the equipment, it's how you use it.
They're always a treat whenever they're around, and there were a lot more plans to use them in the story. Her and Tud Russell even still have a bit of a friendly banter, even after the breakup. It's cool. Most divorces in cartoons were usually treated like a sad thing, but this one actually ended amicably, and both people were mature enough to stay friends. Well, Sheila is mature, Buck's just kinda dumb. But they weren't the only other members of Time Squad we saw. There was also JT Laser and the Lance 9 Trillion, the two best officers on the force, who Larry and Tud Russell basically worship. Although extremely good at their jobs, they're a bunch of jerks who have fun getting the better of Larry and Tud Russell, getting them hurt and laughing behind their backs. And even though Otto realizes how awful they are, Larry and Tud Russell still love them. If this show had got a third season, the crew wanted to explore using them as villains, and one of the writers on the show even said, "Oh yeah, we love those a-holes. They would have been serious series villains if we could have made more episodes." This would have been great to see as one of the plots of the show, because oh man, did this show have some wild plots and jokes. Of course, one of the classics has to be an episode where the trio met Betty Ross, the lady who designed the American flag, who instead becomes a hippie that opposes the revolution. And like, the crew was not subtle at all with the jokes. Like, look at their eyes. They are fried. This guy smoked himself into a different continent. And Betty Ross even spits a few facts as well.
Democracy, please! Yeah, sure, it sounds great now. But in a couple of 100 years, it'll just be another name for capitalism. Your democracy will just be a bunch of money-hungry corporations dictating everything from what you eat to the clothes on your back. Your freedom will be shown for what it really is, a farce.
One of my favorite episodes has to be the one where they meet the guy who made the Nobel Peace Prize, but instead of giving out prizes for peace, he decides to give them out for evil, forming his own super team of historical bad guys. This episode is nuts and has one of my favorite jokes in the show.
Look out! He's got a board, and it's got a nail in it!
Some of these jokes I can't even believe they got off. Like when Tud Russell was chasing Lady Godiva naked on a horse, or when they taught Sigmund Freud how to analyze people, only to end up getting a little too real for them.
Forcing Otto to overcompensate for this tension by trying to pacify each of your insecure egos. Forced into the parental role between two bickering siblings, Otto is slowly being robbed of his childhood, a situation which will ultimately cause him to feel a great sense of loss in his adult life.
Well, goddamn, man, that's heavy shit.
And there are so many gay jokes, I can't believe these went out. They even blew the budget once on an episode with an entirely different animation style. And then the next episode after that was literally them solving the time problem in like 10 seconds. And then mostly standing still for the rest of the episode. Who does that? Time Squad does that. And when they used this beat when they went to help Sitting Bull, I couldn't believe it. That's not okay, right? Like, I really like the beat, but I don't think I should. Can something be kinda racist and kinda fire? Whoa, okay, moving right along. The jokes and the writing for the most part is great, and to match it, we have some pretty good animation and design. The main characters are designed great, really showing off their individual personalities. With Tud Russell being all muscle with a tiny head to show how brawn over brain he is. Otto having a tiny body and a giant head to show that he's the brain of the outfit. And Larry being made out of stiff geometric shapes to show how uptight he could be. And all of the caricatures made for the historical figures are great. I'm especially a fan of the way they draw Beethoven and Albert Einstein. This show definitely had a lot of the DNA of Cartoon Network in it. I mean, Dexter even makes a cameo. But there were some things to make it stand out. Like, the lines in the show were a lot thinner than the usual cartoons. And rather than using smear frames, every action was drawn in clear movements, leading to some pretty snappy, impactful animation. Just compare it to Johnny Bravo, which loved using smear frames, and the difference is night and day. Though sometimes their depictions of other races could be a little, well, let's just say they were a little less than desirable. I don't think any of these were done in a hurtful way, but maybe not all of them should have made it past the final check. So there you have it. Time Squad. A great show that sadly had a short shelf life. But why? Well, I have a few theories, but this is all just speculation. I think people might have thought Time Squad was just the sum of its parts. At first glance, it just kinda looks like it combines the science exploits of Dexter's Lab with the stupidity of Johnny Bravo, especially with some of the character designs. Also, this was the last show made under Betty Cohen, the then president of Cartoon Network, and maybe the next president didn't have any room for Time Squad in his plan. Cartoon Network also started to experiment more with action cartoons during this time as well, greenlighting projects like Megas SLR and Ben 10. And maybe Time Squad just didn't seem worth keeping around. But at least it wasn't completely forgotten. The trio occasionally appear in promotional material, and they even had some cameos in OKKO and Villainous even. But I don't think it's enough. There was so much they could have done with this show. The final episode kind of served as like a bookend, which showed them going back to Otto's original time to help George W. Bush, which freaked me out because up until then, they had only tackled past stuff, and this opened up so many possibilities. I wanted to see them tackle future problems. They come from the year 100 million, where world peace rules overall. Do you know how much could have happened between 0 and 100 million? I wanted to see them team up with Sheila some more. What if they got really esoteric and helped out Adam and Eve? Or what if they had to team up with all of the people they had helped across time to fight JT and Lance? There was so much potential in this show. It could have had 6 seasons of the movie. But no, it was just cancelled and forgotten about. Not even getting a proper series release. While almost every Nicktoon has either a proper release, or at least is uploaded in decent quality somewhere. I don't need HD rocket power, man. I want Time Squad. But I'm glad I watched it, because I want more people to talk about it. Because this show does not deserve to be lost. I can tell that the crew had fun making it, and that the actors had fun voicing it. It was never a dull moment, and up until now, I only thought of Time Squad as that other cartoon I remembered that wasn't Sheep in the Big City. But it needs a re-release, or maybe even a revival special like Zim and Rocco got. I think it would be great, but to be honest, I would settle for it just streaming on HBO Max. This show is funny, clever, and was a joy to watch from beginning to end. The found family angle made it unique, and the infinite possibilities of the future and the past gave it plenty of ammo to be at its best. And man, did they work their hearts out on it. And even if it was made in the past, I think this one is worth taking into the future.
Wait. Okay, go.